Hi everyone, this is the video for week 13, and just to recap week 12 real quick, we talked about quantitative statistics, and so this is looking at numbers, and you looked at some videos to talk about the mean, median, mode, the spread of the data, which is the standard deviation, and how it's normally distributed. So I hope it was a good introduction to statistics. I know some people in the discussion said that it was a little bit intimidating to think about doing statistics, but then once you actually got into it, it wasn't as bad as you thought, but some like it still and some don't, and that's okay. I don't expect everybody to love statistics from this, but I hope that you can see the usefulness of it and how it can be necessary so that you can actually do something with the information that you find. That if you do a survey, you've got a way to interpret the results, or if you do some sort of, if you have a test that you're giving to your class, that you have a way that you can look at the results and then you can make a decision about what it means based on the statistical analysis. So I hope that this was useful for you. So also this week, there was the option to do the stop, start, continue classroom assessment technique. So this was as kind of a follow-up to the one that we had done in week 5, because I just want to give you a chance to say, yeah, the things that we've done in the class have been working, or the things that we've done haven't really been working. So I made this optional because there was a lot going on this week in week 12. I didn't want to overburden you with a lot. And as part of making it optional, there were only 3 people who responded, whereas before there were, I think, 18 or 19 people out of the class responded. So that's one problem, just as a note on this evaluation, I guess, for your information, that sometimes when you make things optional, you don't get as many responses. But I did it intentionally this time, and that's okay that there weren't a lot of responses. So the feedback from that cat was that the class seemed to be going well. People liked the changes that were made in the class to this point. One person did say that they wanted to see the bonus points added to the grade book sooner, and that was my own fault. I just didn't get those in. So those are in now, and all of the grades up until this statistics assignment that you just turned in, all of the grades up to that point are in and done. So that should hopefully give you a sense of where you're at in your grade. And then I'll get this quantitative statistics assignment graded this week. I will be out of town on Tuesday, and I know that doesn't matter for you too much, except for just the fact that I won't be available on Tuesday to answer questions or to do grading or things because I have other obligations. But I'll get this graded when I can and give you feedback on that. So, and coming back to the stop, start, continue, there really wasn't anything else. So I'm glad that the class has been working fairly well for you. And if you have problems or other things that you'd like to discuss, please let me know. Send me an email. I am totally open to making changes or knowing if things are working or not working for you. So thanks for the feedback for those who gave it. And if there are things that come up, please let me know. Excuse me. So now looking ahead at week 13, we're going to be looking at another type of data, which is qualitative data. So last week we looked at quantitative numbers, things that can be quantified. And this week we're looking at qualitative data, which are words. And when we're talking about qualitative data, there are no numbers involved. We're not counting the words that people said or how many responses of this kind. People do combine qualitative and quantitative, and that's called mixed methods analysis. Right? And there are people who do both, and it's useful to use both because they give you different information. But when we're talking about qualitative statistics, we're just talking about the words themselves. And so this could be shown as an example. You do a short answer question on a test, or on maybe not a test, but some sort of a survey, and you want people to write down their answer. Well, there's not a way to quantify that on what they said, but you can look at it and analyze it and see if there are common themes among the responses, that there was one thing or 2 things that really came up a lot in the responses, and those become your themes from your data. And that's a way to analyze the qualitative data. Another example of using qualitative data might come up if you're doing like an interview with somebody. And so they're just saying their responses, their answers, and you're taking notes or whatever, or a recording if you have permission. And then you're looking back at that and you need to see what they said. What was the story that they told? What were the things that came up? And if you're doing multiple interviews, were there things that were in common across those interviews, or how did they compare to each other? And so that's when you want to use qualitative statistics, not statistics, but qualitative analysis of your information so that you can get some sort of story from it. What does it mean? Why is it important to you? Because getting an answer is great, but being able to use that answer is what we want to do. And so that's why we're talking about qualitative statistics this week. So here is the framework. So this is an infographic about what an infographic is. So basically, an infographic is some sort of picture or graphic that displays information. And so it's where you take your data, just a pile of data, and then you sort it out and arrange it so that then it can be presented visually for people to understand. And so this is what we're doing in our analysis, both in our quantitative and qualitative analysis, that we're taking data and we're somehow sorting it either in the numbers or with what people said, and we're arranging it and looking at the meaning of it. And then an infographic would be a way to display the information visually. So that's one of the things that we can use as a tool this week. So this week, read these 2 handouts, and then optionally you can read some more about qualitative data, and also here is a whole bunch of information about infographics and creating infographics. So this is optional. You don't have to read all of this, but if you're interested, you are welcome to look into it and how they can be used. And they have become more common, I think. So here's some tools that you can use for that. Then the assignment this week is just to post in the discussion forum. There is no required writing assignment to do this week, but there are several coming up in the next couple weeks, so you could use this time to get ahead if you choose. But this week you can take it a little lighter and do some readings and post in the discussion forum. And then optionally, there is one bonus assignment that you can do. So there are 3 options, but you will only do one of them. So just pick one. So this bonus assignment, really quick, you'll look at some information from a stop, start, continue CAT that was done in a previous semester. So these aren't the responses from this semester, but it was the same thing that was done. And so for this one, you would just analyze the continue information, the continued data from that survey, and write up a little bit about it. And here's the template that you can use to follow it and to lay your information into it. Your second option, which is worth more points, is to look at all of the 3 questions from the start, stop, continue, CAT, and write more about it. And here's also another template for that one. And then this last option for your bonus assignment is to create an infographic based on real life data. So you have to have some sort of real life information that you can use for this, whether it's from a class that you teach or from your organization that you're in or some other place. But if you don't have a source for data, then this probably isn't one that you'll want to pick. You'll want to pick one of the other bonus assignments. So, and here are the directions for what you need to include there. And then the discussion forums, here are some questions to get you started there. So I think that's pretty much it for week 13. So do the readings and get your discussion in. I do have the rest of the weeks for the rest of the semester open and available. So grad students, the writing assignment is due in week 14, just to give you a look ahead. And then we're going to be done before we know it. So we just have a couple weeks left. So let me know if you have any questions on anything. I know that sometimes qualitative analysis can be a little bit tricky for people to understand, but I hope that the materials provided are straightforward enough. But I'm glad to help clarify things or follow up. So let me know if I can help you at all or if there are any questions that you have. And otherwise, I will see you online.